Okay, so again, shalom and good evening, everyone, and it's a pleasure to see all of you and to be here. And so this is my first time doing this shiur under the auspices of the Galenai Bet Midrash, but it's also my own weekly English language shiur, which is called Soul of the Parsha. So today we're going to speak about this week's Parsha, which is Beha'alotcha. And the topic, the title for this class is going to be The Art of the White Lie. That's the topic. We're going to go very deeply into the notion, the concept of the white lie, which are lies that are being said for a higher purpose in order not to offend someone or in order to encourage someone. And we want to understand this very deeply using the character of Aharon the priest, who really opens this parsha. But we're not starting. So everyone knows there's a famous story about Aharon and his peacemaking techniques. But we're actually not starting with this. We're starting with the way the parsha opens. The parsha opens, and that's the meaning of the title of the parsha. Beha'alotcha. Beha'alotcha means as you raise. And it means the candles of the menorah. The parasha begins with Aharon, the priest, receiving a commandment to light the candles of the menorah in the Beit HaMikdash, or first in the tabernacle, which would then become later on the Beit HaMikdash. So that's his commandment, and it says that, of course, the menorah has the 7 candles, and he needs to light them up, which also means cleaning them and all this. And then the parsha says, just after he's given the commandment, the parsha says, "Vayas ken Aharon," and Aharon did so. He did as he was told. So the sages ask, what does it mean? This sentence, this description that he did as he was told. What's the chiddush here? Not everything that a commandment is given where it's said that someone did so. So they say something very important. They say that it's shevach, it's a compliment or something important in his honor that was said, which was that he didn't change anything, that he did exactly as he was told. And everything he did according to the menorah, the way it was, the way he lit it, he did it exactly as he was told. And so the famous question is, so what's so amazing about this, that he did exactly as he was told, that he didn't change? Again, the term used by Chazal is that he didn't change from the way from what he was told to do. So the famous question, which has a lot of different answers, is what was the big deal of not changing? It seems to go without saying. It seems to be obvious that we shouldn't change the divine commandment. So there are all kinds of answers. There are pshat answers, and there are more Hasidic, deeper answers. But here we want to point out something which is connecting us to a different story about Aharon also, which is a story that tells us of another situation in which he did change. And the term here, that's what the term is very important. In this Perush, we're told, Shevach leHaron shelo shina midivrei HaKatuv, that he didn't change anything. But the other famous story, and that connects us to our topic of the white lies, the other story is, again, very famous story about how Aharon used to change the truth in order to make peace. Aharon is a big peace lover. He loves peace. Ohev shalom verodef shalom. He loves peace. He chases peace. He's doing everything in his power to make peace between friends. He can't stand it when people are fighting, when they're not getting along. He can't stand this. So he needs to do everything in his power to make peace. So what's the famous story? The famous story is that, and once again, I have to ask you, I see some people haven't muted their computer. Please, there's a little icon. If you move your cursor at the bottom left corner, press mute, because it would make things simpler. So the famous story is that there were 2 friends who were in a fight, and none of them wanted to speak to the other one. They didn't want anything to speak with each other, and everyone was both of them were very resented, whatever it is they thought the other person did to them. So what was his technique? He went to one of them and he lied. What did he say? He said, your friend, he really regrets the fight that you're having. He really wishes you weren't fighting. And he's going around so sad and so frustrated. And he's ashamed to tell you, but I'm telling you that he really, really wants to make peace with you. And so are you willing to make peace with him? And he sees the guy softening up and saying, yeah, actually I regret it also, and so on. And then he goes to the first person and he tells him, and now it's less of a lie now. He tells him, your friend, same thing. He says, your friend, he regrets the fact that you're fighting so much. And so maybe you should get together. And then he softens both of them. And it's more of a lie in the first case. It's less of a lie in the second case. But of course, the fact that it's less of a lie is based on the first lie that he told him. So this is called leshanot et ha'emet mipnei hashalom, to change the truth or to modify the truth or to change something about the truth in order to make peace. So it's a higher cause, it's a good cause. And that is considered a good story, a wonderful story about how Aharon was able to make peace among people who are fighting. Now, the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of Chassidut, of course, so he has an amazing thing to say about this. He says that Aharon was like a doctor. And this isn't coming out of nowhere, because we know that the priests would not just be able to diagnose people who are ill with leprosy, with sarat, they would also be able to heal them. The look, the gaze of the priest would actually have the power to heal. So the Baal Shem Tov isn't saying this, but he's referring to this by saying that Aharon was like a doctor. And he says doctors have a special permission. Nobody else in the world has this, but doctors have this. Doctors are allowed to use poison. And if in the hands of everyone else, it would be a crime, it would be dangerous, people would use poison, and it would be a terrible thing, people could die. But a doctor, he's an expert. And a doctor, what's special about a doctor, every medical cabinet has a poison vial, and no medical cabinet is complete without a poison vial. And also, of course, almost every medicine or used improperly would be poison. But the idea is that some things are actual poison, but he can use them with the exact amount and in the exact context possible, and then he heals with the poison. So he says Aaron was like a doctor, a healer, and he was able to take something which is a poison, which is lying. Lying is a poison. We need to be truthful. We need to speak the truth. We need to be honest, and nothing good comes out of lying. But every rule has an exception, and the exception here is that if you know how to do this properly, and this is why I call this class the art of the white lie, because it's an art, and that's what we want to understand today. So if you have to be an expert doctor, so to speak, and then you use a modicum of lying, a little bit of lying in the right place, at the right amount, which then creates a kind of healing. So that's a very famous and important understanding from the Baal Shem Tov regarding this story. So now, again, so how would we started all this by saying, so we have two stories and we have two statements, very famous statements made about Aharon, which spring to mind as being connected, but in a way contradictory. One of them is the famous story we just told of the way he changed the truth, changed, modified the truth in order to make peace. And the other famous statement or basic statement that was said of Aharon is here in the context of the menorah, the tabernacle, more in connection to ben adam lamakom, a relationship to God, not ben adam lechavero, a relationship to other people, because the story about changing the truth was definitely a story about peacemaking among people in society. But this story in which it's stressed that he had the courage, or he had the integrity, whatever it was, to not change anything, this was said in the context of the tabernacle and the menorah, which is ben adam lamakom, a relationship with God. So we have these two statements, and we have to put them together. So putting them together, we can come up with a kind of three-level understanding of how Aharon made peace among people. So we'll just, first we'll just put it very simply, and then we'll go deeper into this. So the first level, the simple level, is that he lied. That's in the story that we had, that what he spoke was not true. He lied, but he did so like an expert doctor. He did so in a way that came out good. And it was, for him, it's okay. For maybe for other people, or only for us, if we channel Aharon in some way, it's okay. But if we're not channeling him in a good way, it's not a good thing. So the first explanation is that he lied. And then second explanation, that's a very important pirush, which says, well, it doesn't say that he lied in the story about the two friends fighting. It says that he changed the truth or modified the truth. And changing the truth isn't the exact same thing as lying. And the idea is simple but deep. It says that he wasn't a proper all the way through and through lie. He changed it in a way that it was aligned with a deeper truth. And the deeper truth was that deep down, those two people really wanted he looked into their hearts, and he could see that on the surface they were fighting and they were resentful and so on, but deeper down they really wanted to get over this fight already and put it behind them. And the proof for this is that it worked. It wouldn't have worked, that lie wouldn't have worked if it hadn't echoed something within them. So the fact that he was able to lie to the first person and it touched his heart meant that, again, there's something in their souls was already sort of reverberating, or there was this kind of a wave between them or something, this connection. And then when the end of the story is that they meet after he spoke with each one of them, and they meet in the street, and then they hug each other and kiss each other, and they get over their fight. So all this wouldn't have happened if he hadn't, if his lie didn't have a certain element of truth to it. So the idea here is that in the second level, he's not lying, he's changing, he's modifying the truth, and he's modifying in a way that's aligned, or that's in tune with a deeper kind of truth that's not revealed. And in a way we can say he's taking a loan from a future truth. So right now they're in a fight. So on the first level, it would be he's lying when he's saying your friend really wants to get back together. But in a deeper way, he almost has the kind of foresight. It's also looking deeper inside and looking a little bit into the future. And he sees that they really want to be together again. So he's borrowing from the future, so to speak. He's taking a loan from the future. It's like those time travel movies that you go to the future, you see what happens, then you go back and you make it so that it does happen. So that's what he's doing a little bit. He sees the future, and then it's not that much of a lie. It's not absolutely true, but so that's the second level. But since we also have this source here in our parasha that says that regarding the menorah and the tabernacle, the big thing that was said in his shevach, in his honor, was that he didn't make any change, means there's a third level. And the third level is that he is not only is he not lying, he's not even changing the truth, he speaks the absolute truth when he's telling them, your friend loves you, misses you, in some deep, mysterious way. It's not a lie at all, and it's not even a change, right? Because lo shina. So now we want to get a grasp on all three levels, and that would help us in our own situations in life, in which we have to say white lies. So just one more before we go into this, just one little thing about white lies. So this isn't, of course, this expression white lie, it doesn't come from any Torah source. I don't know where it's coming from. It's a famous, I think it's probably in many languages or all languages that you have. In Hebrew, say sheker lavan, it's white lie. I'm sure in French, I'm sure there's parallels in all languages. And of course, it's a debatable concept, because some people think, it's younger people usually, and people who are maybe more stricter and less mature, and they don't like white lies. The whole concept seems to them warped, and they would say, that the whole concept of a white lie is itself what you say in English, whitewashing. It's a whitewash term, calling it a white lie, because a lie is a lie is a lie. A lie is a lie. Don't whitewash the lie by calling it a white lie. You're just trying to pretend you're not lying in any way, but you are. And lies are lies, and I don't want your white lies. If you want to tell me the truth, tell me the truth. Don't, put people into a false sense of security or whatever. And if we all go around telling white lies, then we don't know the truth about ourselves, about the world, and we're just living in a lullaby, in a dream. And also everyone is dishonest, and it's all just being polite everywhere. And it's this phony smiles, right? So the people who hate the phony smiles, they're the people who hate white lies. And we can understand them, because we can imagine certain situations in which it's really a terrible thing. If someone is all his life is one big, white lying to everyone, and he says, that's nice, that's interesting, and he never speaks his mind, and nothing interesting happens. He never confronts anyone. No debate starts, no argument starts, and so on. However, as you become more mature, you realize this is a very simplistic it's not sensitive enough. Life is very complex. And you realize that there are situations in which there is a reason why this term white lie was invented. It was invented because it's not exactly like a black lie or an evil lie. It's something else. It's something which that's one way of taking care of one another, of making sure we don't get hurt. And also, of course, what we want to do here is we want to go even deeper than that. It's not just a question of politeness. It's not just a question of not hurting people or not hurting their feelings. It's far deeper than that. We want to reach a state in which, when we use white lies, it's in order to try and expose a deeper truth. So it's not even white. It's let's say lies of light. We want to. There's some truth. So reality itself is multi-layered. And therefore, something that's a lie on one level is really truthful on another level. And again, going deeper, we can reach deeper levels of truth. So that's what we want to understand here. And we want to reach a situation in which we're not as simplistic thinking, or, again, this kind of adolescent, even fundamentalist approach of I'm never going to lie in any kind of way. But we also don't want to get to a situation in which, as the first type was afraid of, they were just walking around with phony smiles or avoiding any kind of truth. We want to we want to be truthful, we want to speak the truth, but we want to echo and be connected to the deeper levels of truth, which requires a kind of lying in relation to the more superficial levels of truth. Okay, so now what we want to do, just want to see what time it is. So what we want to do is we want to use an important structure that everyone should know, and some of you may already know, but I'm going to say it I'm just going to introduce it. We're going to introduce now two trios of concepts, two triplets or three-term systems, which go together, right? They correspond one another. Much of what we do in learning Hasidut is Hasidut is based on Kabbalah. Kabbalah also means correspondence. We're taking corresponding models or concepts, and that really is helpful, not just so that we have a kind of map, but that we can also later walk through that map, and that we have a path, not just a map. So the idea is to use the map in order to find a path. So the two three-level concepts or models are the following. The first is called, I'm going to say it in Hebrew than English, is called Olamot, Neshamot, Elokut. Olamot means worlds. That's the level of what you see on the outside. You look outside, you see the world. It's actually many different worlds. And this is called the level of worlds. That's the basic level of reality that everyone can see. Deeper level is called the level of Neshamot. Neshamot is souls. Souls is the inner dimension of the world. If you see a person, they're a world of their own, but that's just their outside. If you try and meet them and speak with them and have a conversation and get to know them, you see their soul. Their soul is hiding inside their body. So the souls are inside the world. It's the outside of reality, that's the world, and the inside of reality, that's the souls. Finally, the third level is called Elokut, which is godliness or divinity. So that is even, we're not just talking about, let's say, matter and spirit, outside and inside, object and subject. That's just the first two levels, olamot, world, and neshamot, souls. Elokut means there's another level, which is actually the level that is able to hold together the two previous levels, which are very contradictory, and there's a deep tension between them, which is that everything, both the world and the souls, it all comes from God, it all comes from Hashem. Hashem is somehow omnipresent in all these levels. He's putting them, holding them together. So that's the first model. The first model is world, souls, godliness or divinity. Second model, which goes together, talks about three types of, let's say, connection of reality to God. So the first concept, which corresponds to worlds, is in Hebrew, it's called hishtalshelut. Hishtalshelut would be, literally, it means chaining down. It's like you have a chain and you lower that chain into somewhere, a pit or whatever, and it descends. We can call it descent, or we can call it chaining down. And the idea is that we're talking about worlds. The idea is that the world is like the lowest rung of a chain, but that chain is connecting to a higher rung and a higher rung, and or a ring, and so that they're all, but it's all connected. It all leads up. Everything that you see in this world, it descends from something higher. But when you're thinking about descent or like a chain, you're thinking about God is over there very far away, and we're down here, and there are all these infinite number of levels or circles in a chain. So because we're talking about the level of worlds, the outside level, the level of the material world, the body, the feeling is that God is far away, but if we look deeper, we can feel that everything down here descends from something higher. Also has to do with the fact that the governing law of this world is causality. Causality is also likened to a chain. That's not a vertical chain, it's a horizontal chain, where we see that the chain image is a good image to understand this world. This world is like a chain of cause and effect, and also it's the results, the end result of a vertical sort of cause and effect chain. So level of world has to do with hishtalshelut, chaining down, descent. Level of souls, the corresponding term in our second model, is called hitlabshut. Hitlabshut means enclothing, as in putting something into a garment. So very simple. This corresponds to the level of souls. The souls are enclosed within the body. Just as we have the level of worlds, and within it we have the level of souls, same goes that above this descent or this chain image, we have something else. God, spirituality, it's not up there, the topmost part of the chain. It's in here, but it's on the inside. That's why you can't see it. It's like the soul within a body. Spirituality is within physicality. It's not that the physical world is the result, is descends from something higher, but this something higher actually resides within it also. So you need to go, when you're just looking at this world, you see physicality, you see chain of cause and effect. This is how science looks at things. But then if you open a sort of inner eye and you look at the souls, you're beginning to think in terms of enclothing. What is enclosed within everything I see? What's the inner, deeper level of it? Now, final term, corresponding to godliness, right? We have olamot, worlds, that goes together with descent, or this chain kind of cause and effect. And then we have souls that goes together with being enclosed on the inside. Finally, we have the level of godliness, and the corresponding term is called Hashra'ah. Hashra'ah means omnipresence. It's also used in Hebrew for inspiration, when you're inspired by something. Inspiration, you don't know where it's coming from, Why don't you know where it's coming from? Because it's coming from all directions at the same time. In a way, it's God's omnipresence. God is shore, resides everywhere in the world. This is the deepest way of looking at the world. It's not just looking at the physical world and saying, well, this physical thing, it descends from something higher. It's not just looking inside and saying, this physical thing, it has a soul inside it. Please, please press mute. Person called MWA, please press mute.
Person called MWA, please press mute.
Okay, I'm trying to go. רגע, can you, אתה יכול לכבות להשתיק את כולם? Oh, it's working. Okay. So the final, deepest way of looking at the world is seeing that everything is God. We're not even talking about physical reality, which descends from something higher. We're not talking about spiritual reality, which is hiding within the external reality. We're talking about everything, both the inside and the outside. Everything is godly. Everything is God in a deep way. This, of course, the highest, the most mysterious way of looking at things. It's very high, it's very deep, and we're not supposed to feel it, intensely each and every moment, but there are moments of inspiration that we can feel this kind of omnipresence. This is why the word omnipresence and inspiration in Hebrew, it's the same word. Okay, so now, using this model, we can now understand what Aharon is doing in his peacemaking simultaneously. Then we can think about the way also as a process. But we can see now 3 ways of understanding what he's doing when he's going to those 2 people fighting and telling one of them, your friend, I saw him, he really misses you, he wants you to get over it. So what happens? So on the level of worlds, we can say that every negative thing descends from something good. Whatever it is that's bad, it descended originally from something good. We don't see this good, but we believe that it's somewhere up there. And we want to raise things up to the root. But it doesn't mean we're going up there. It means we're sort of moving the chain from below. We're not climbing the chain because we're in the world, we're in the lowest level. Now this world, so that means also that lies have a purpose. Lies as lies descend from something. If they're invented, there's room for them. They have a role in this world. Everything in this world can be used for the good, just like the doctor who can use poison to heal people. So this entire world is called the world of deceit. Alma de Shikra. It's one big world of deceit. It's a world of lies. It's a world of dishonesty. And it's full of all kinds of dishonest means and ways of the way people go about it. And don't cheat yourself. That's how it works. And in order to survive in this world, you have to sometimes use these kinds of methods. Again, you have to be careful. You have to be an expert doctor, so to speak, which means you have to be very careful. You have to use very precise modicums of lying, but you're using lie on this level, because this is the level of worlds, and you see just the lower end of the chain. Then in this level, you're lying. We have to be honest. We have to be truthful about the fact that in white lies, regarding the level of worlds, we're lying, but that's okay because this whole world is a world of deceit, and sometimes you need to use this element, this poison, or this element of lying. However, all this is just surface level. That's just the simplest, most superficial way of looking at the world, but we need to acknowledge this. If we're not acknowledging this, and we're saying, oh, no, he never lied, he just echoed a deeper truth, and so on, then it's not going to work. And people who care very much about the truth will be angry at us, and all the part of us that is seeking the truth will also be angry. So we need to put things on the table. And so we need to be, again, truthful about lying. We need to be truthful about the fact that we are a little bit lying when we're saying a white lie, but only regarding the level of worlds, because it's a world of deceit anyway. And that's how you go about this world. So that's the first level. And it's an important level. Whatever we do, we need to have this kind of basic level of admitting, being truthful about lying in a particular context. Now, going up to the level of souls, going up to the level of souls, souls have to do with enclothing, which means that what you see on the outside is just part of reality, but there's a deeper level, there are souls. So this is Aharon not exactly lying, as we said, but changing the truth and modifying the truth, which is different from lying, right? And it means, because why? Because he's aligning it with something else. He can see into their souls. He can feel their souls. He can feel the pain of their souls. He can feel the longing that they have to one another. And if he would have remained on the first level of just lying, that would have been terrible, because he would have been a manipulator. And being a manipulator is not a good thing to be. But because we have another level here, that also changes the first level, because again, we need all three levels. So on this level, it's not exactly, when he's in this level, he doesn't think of himself as lying. He thinks of himself as modifying a little bit the truth in order to expose, to reveal the soul that's hiding beneath the body, or the deeper level that's hiding beneath the superficial. He's trying to let it come out. People who are in a fight have cornered themselves into a situation in which they cannot be exposed. They're longing for someone to see beyond the surface level. If someone is superficial and he meets this angry person and he tells him, I hate that other person, I can't stand him, I wish he would die, whatever he's saying, and he believes them, he takes their word for granted, he really hurts them, because he abandons them to the kind of superficial corner or prison they're imprisoned in. And he's buying into their lie. The whole idea of the second level is that you realize that the truth of the first level is a lie. When they're saying, I hate him, I don't want to speak to him, I never want to speak to him, he's saying the truth regarding his, let's say, animal soul, or regarding his ego. But regarding his soul, he's lying. His soul is crying in anguish because he's not speaking the truth. When you're going up to the level of souls, everything switches. And you see that what was considered truth in the level of world is a lie in the level of souls. And Aharon is perceptive enough in order to see this and echo this. So by feeling the soul that's enclosed within the body and speaking, it is changing the truth in a way that echoes that, like I said, it's taking a loan or a borrowing from the future. He is exposing the souls. He's revealing the souls. They become sort of taking away, peeling off the garment of the body and revealing it. This is why it works, as we said. It works because he really touched a true nerve, a true chord in their hearts. So all this is the level of souls. However, now we're going up to the highest level. In the highest level, which is the level of godliness, in this level, as I said, he's speaking the absolute truth. Why does this have to do with the menorah? The menorah, it is said, was made miksha achat. Miksha achat, I had to check this in English, it means one hammered piece of gold. It's not several pieces of gold that were stitched together. The menorah has to be made. It's incredible how they made it. Moshe himself didn't know exactly how to do it. He needed a divine and inspiration, right? We're going up to the level of godliness and the level of hashra'ah, inspiration or omnipresence. In this level, because the menorah stands for all the branches of all the Jewish souls, we're one people, but we're branching out into different kinds of souls. But really, it's one hammered piece. It's one miksha. It's one solid unit. So seeing this, on this level, all souls are deeply, deeply connected to one another. And because they're deeply connected to one another, it was never a lie in the first place. It's not just changing the truth. When he's telling this friend, your friend misses you, and so on, this level, he's absolutely speaking the truth. And now it turns out that the second level was just a sort of intermediate. It was sort of passageway, sort of corridor, leading us from one level of truth to another level of truth. So on the first level, he's lying. On the second level, he's making the change. He's changing the truth. He's making the transition. On the third level, because this is the tabernacle, this is the place of divine inspiration, this is where he's able to see, and this is, by the way, is him with Moshe together in a way. It was Moshe who had the vision, first had the vision of how to build the menorah. It was Aaron lighting the menorah, but the menorah, the vision of the menorah was given to Moshe. Moshe was the one who is the one who's connected to this divine, the level of divine inspiration. However, because he sees everything from God's point of view, he can't understand people fighting because he's only on this level. He says, but all your souls are connected. So that's why he needs Aaron to be connected to the first two levels. But now the big chidush of our parasha is that he also has this level of Moshe, which is a level of being able to direct his lies in a way that they really, truly echo. And on this level, when he's connected to this level of godliness, the level of inspiration or divine omnipresence, he's not even changing the truth there. He's speaking the absolute truth because he's in the future now, where he's connected to their souls. He sees, so again, I said, the third level is a very deep level, and we only have an inkling of it. And we only have, it's like a little, dot on the horizon, or it flashes and comes and goes. But the fact that we have it, even for an instant, sometimes you only have it once in your life. Sometimes you have it very few times in your life. But it's enough to have those little moments, or even an inkling of them, that knowing that in a deep way, everyone is connected. Or let's say, let's broaden the topic. We're not just talking about making peace. White lies have a lot of functions. It's not just making peace. Sometimes in order to make peace with oneself, someone is depressed because they think they're worthless. And then you have to work with them in order to encourage them. So here again, right now, let's just, now I really, what I'm doing now is I'm trying to now take all this in one final step and use this to talk about how to implement this on a different area of life, right? So just first to sum up, right? We have the three levels of worlds and souls and godliness or divinity. And on the first level, he's lying. Let's call a spade a spade. Let's say it for what it is. But on a second level, he's really, not lying, just changing the truth in order to correspond to a higher kind of truth. And in the third level, he's being absolutely truthful because he's connected to the divine spark and potential of those two people who are fighting. So now, as I said, we want to use this in our lives to talk about, to refine the art of the white lie. And we need to use this art in all kinds of situations. So like I just said, sometimes it's someone coming to us and they're feeling terrible about their lives. Let's say something really bad happened to them and we want to encourage them. Let's say nothing bad happened to them, but they think of their life in terrible terms and they think they're worthless. Or it could be, that's another example given about a couple fighting, and they're in a terrible, terrible fight. It's not just two friends. They're living together. They're in the same place. Sometimes it could be a child who's you're trying to convey a certain truth to them, which they're not really capable of learning yet, right? You can't tell them all the truth about the world, so to speak, the naked truth. Let's say it's someone who's, I just read a terrible, terrible story about, well, no, never mind. I'm not going to say the story. Just make the atmosphere bad. But let's say this general thing that sometimes a terrible truth or negative facts of life needs to be conveyed to a child. You can't just speak the truth. You have to find ways around it. So all these situations, you need to go through these levels. And so we can say that they can exist simultaneously for Aharon. For us, not so much simultaneously. It's more like a journey. Sometimes we see someone who's really depressed about their lives. So we start off by a little bit lying to them. We're saying, no, come on, you're you're better than this, and so look at all the good things you have in your life. And actually, we know we're a little bit lying, because in a way we're buying into the lie of this world that they really are in a big mess. They really are. They do have serious problems, but we don't want to say that. We don't want to discourage them. We don't want to hurt them. So we start off by lying. However, if we're tuned to looking for the souls of everything and to look for the divinity within everything, then we can use this process of lying only for the sake of not hurting them as a kind of platform, or as a kind of leverage, in order to try and tune into something deeper. So if someone is telling us that he thinks their work of art is worthless, or that he's worthless, and in a way we also a little bit agree, but then we have to, this is inviting us to look deeper within him and to look deeper within us also. Because when we tell ourselves, no, that's just the externality of it. He has a soul. There's something far deeper going on within him. And I need to connect to my soul, right? It's that this second level is souls in the plural. It's his soul and my soul. I need to go look deeper into my soul in order to truly find a positive thing to say about them that is honest, that is not a lie. It's a lie when I'm being egoistic or superficial or detached or distant. And 2 more minutes. Um, uh, but if we soul search, and if we soul search in 2 ways, we have to soul search in both directions. We have to soul search ourselves, connect to a deeper place within us that is able to truly say something positive to them, and that goes together with soul searching them, searching for their souls, and really seeing something good to say about them. And it goes together. So as we elevate from the level of words to the level of souls, we're able to try and tune in to something really positive to say about them, or to find a way, if it's a child, to say something about the world to them that is maybe considered a lie to a cynic on the outside. But to someone who's deeper, he would see that we're telling the child a deeper truth in a way about the world, that maybe later he'll be able to reconcile it with the facts of life. But right now we're telling them something deeper about the way things are. Yeah. For example, if we're telling a child about two animals giving birth to another animal, we say that they married. That's what you say to a child. You say the little turtle went and married a female turtle, and he didn't marry her. But you're in a way you're saying something that's untruthful on one level, but it is truthful on another level. And of course, you can carry this on to bigger and more substantial examples. And finally, it's not just soul searching, it's God searching. Because in a way, what we're really trying to do is we're trying to awaken or reveal the hidden divine spark that we believe is in everything. And therefore, ultimately, from that perspective, there's nothing ugly in the world, there's nothing evil in the world. Everything is in some way is a platform for something good, or is coming from something good, or is used. And when you're looking for that, and you're really trying, and it's on the horizon, again, it's an inkling. But if you're looking for that, and that's what you aspire to, then when your eyes are on that level of reality in which everything is godly and everything is divine, then you're not lying at all. When you're making life more beautiful than it is, you're just transforming it into what it really is. And so again, it's not white lies, it's light lies. That's what we want. This whole shiur was about how to take white lies, which doesn't sound good, it sounds like whitewashing, and to turn them into light lies, which are lies that aren't lies, but they expose the inner divine light that's hidden in everything. And that's how we should think about situations in which we're called upon to, as the world say, white lie. So that's it. And for today, and now you're welcome to stay here because there's another shiur by Miriam Rhodes who just joined us. And Bezrat Hashem this will happen again in some context sometime. I'll update you, and you can. I have a WhatsApp group, an English WhatsApp group, in which I send whatever I have classes or texts, whatever I have. So if you want, if you're not in the group, well, I'm just going to put the link in the chat. So if you're not in the group, you can join via that link. That's it. Goodbye.